Hello students, how are you doing? I hope all of you are doing really well. So in today's class, we are going to study the chapter Iswaran, the Storyteller, which is written by R.K. Lakshman. R.K. Lakshman was born on 24th October 1921 and died on 26 January 2015. R.K. Lakshman was a very famous storyteller and a cartoonist. He drew sketches for one of the most famous serial in India, which is Malgudi Days. So we begin the story from here. One night, Mahendra woke up from his sleep and saw a dark cloudy form. He broke out into a cold sweat. Was it a ghost? So in this story, we are going to know about a man named Mahendra. So what happens? He woke up from his sleep and he saw a dark cloudy form. And he broke out into a cold sweat. So he was not sure. What did he see right now? Was it a ghost? So we will find out the answer of this question in this chapter. Okay, now let's begin. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra by name. So the story was being narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra. Mahendra, okay, we are talking about Mahendra. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on hire supervisors at various types of construction sites like factories, bridges, dams, and so on. So, Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. So, like I told you, he was a supervisor. So, the job of a supervisor is to keep an eye, which means to supervise what are the activities which are going on at the work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office. So there was no one fixed place of his working. Mahendra, whenever he got order from his head office, he has to keep moving from one place to the other place. From a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site. From there, after a few months, to a chemical plant, which was coming up somewhere. So, from these lines, we come to know that from where to which place he has to go. From a railway bridge construction site to a chemical plant, which was going to come up in some place. So, these are the places where he used to work. Maybe in a coal mine or a bridge construction site or a chemical plant. He was a bachelor. His needs were simple and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions. So he was a bachelor, which means he was not married. Okay, he was single. And therefore, his needs were very simple. He did not have any fancy demands. And no matter how odd condition you give him, he was very adjustable in nature. He will adjust in whatsoever odd conditions. Whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. So, no matter in what condition you ask him to live, whether it is a poor equipped circuit house or just a temporary canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. Quarry means mine. Okay. So you can see the picture. Okay. The first picture is a makeshift canvas tent, which you must have seen in books or movies where people spend nights, okay, under this kind of tent. So like I told you, he was very simple. His needs were very simple. And he used to adjust to all kinds of situations. So he can easily live here without complaining. But one asset he had was his cook, Iswaran. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. So, we are talking about Iswaran now. Okay, Iswaran the storyteller, from where he gets his name. So, he was like an asset to Mahendra. He was his cook. And Cook was really attached to Mahendra and he used to follow him to all the places wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, and chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. Anecdotes means some short, interesting story about a real incident. So, as the name suggests, Iswaran the storyteller, we could know one characteristics of Iswaran, that he was a very good storyteller. He will tell you so many stories that you will never be bored of his stories. Okay. He could weave out endless stories, means never ending stories, and anecdotes on varied subjects. Okay. Ishwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out of nowhere in the middle of a desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. So, talking about Ishwaran, he had a very good, characteristics of telling stories. But on addition to it, he was also a very good, he had a capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients where there were no shops available. Okay, in the middle of desolate landscape. Desolate means isolated. Okay, very lonely. And there would be no shops available for miles around. But he could produce vegetables and ingredients out of nowhere. He would miraculously conjure up the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables. He would miraculously conjure means to create by magic. Okay, so he had that magic with him that he used to make very good dishes, very delicious dishes with fresh vegetables. Within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. So whenever Mahendra and Ishwaran, they have to move from places to places, right? But within an hour, he will make a very good, delicious dish. Okay, and that too magically. So this was a characteristics of Ishwaran. Mahendra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Ishwaran would tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. So when Mahendra went for his work, taking all his prepared food with him and having breakfast, what would Ishwaran do? He used to tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and take a very leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head. And what he did meanwhile? He was also muttering a prayer. Okay, muttering maybe like whispering a prayer all the while. It would be lunchtime by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. Dozing off means before sleeping. So he has a habit of reading. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. So what kind of books did he read? He used to read some popular Tamil thriller, which was really huge, bulky books, hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Ishwaran in thrall. So, narrative flourishes means detailed descriptions. So, the book used to hold him in thrall. The word thrall means a state of being in someone's power or complete absorption. or captivated. So he used to be so much into the book, he was so much captivated into the story that he used to be in a state of thrall. His own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending into the account. So whenever he used to tell stories, okay, it was a little bit inspired by the Tamil authors because he had a habit to read Tamil books. So his own descriptions were also influenced by those books. And whenever he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and surprise into the account. So like that is a very important point, right? So a good storyteller should always try to include suspense and surprise into their story. Then only the readers will be interested to read or interested to listen to them, isn't it? Otherwise they would be bored. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, "The road was deserted and I was all alone. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road." So like it's a very small thing to say, right? That he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway. But he would not keep it straight. He will not say that, "Oh, I have seen an uprooted tree on the highway." He will try to, make it more interesting. And he would say that the road was deserted. Deserted means all alone. There was no one. And I was also all alone. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. So this is one way of saying things. Okay, way of keeping your listeners engaged. So sprawl means spread out over a large area in irregular way. I was half inclined to turn and go back, but as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. So he'd finally conclude and say that I was half inclined to turn and go back. Means I was almost about to go back. But as he came closer, what he saw? That it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. So it is not a big deal. It's just a normal tree fallen on the highway. But Iswaran would make it seem so big and so, interesting that the listeners would be thrilled. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically. So whenever Ishwaran told stories to Mahendra, he would never judge them. He would listen to them uncritically, means without judging, not asking how it is possible or are you even lying to me? Are you lying to me? No, he never judged him. He just enjoyed his stories. The place I come from is famous for timber. Timber is a wood prepared for use in building and carpentry. Ishwaran would begin. So Ishwaran has started to tell a story. And he begins, "The place I come from is famous for timber. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled onto the lorries by elephants." So lorries are those kind of large heavy motor vehicles used for transporting goods. There are huge well-fed beasts. When they turn wild, even the most experienced mahout is not able to control them. So mahout is a person who works with and controls elephant. So he is saying that in my village, there are very huge well-fed beasts. So he's referring to elephants because they're so huge, they are so scary that they are being compared to beasts. Okay. And Ishwaran says that when the elephants go wild, when they turn wild, when they go mad. Even the most experienced mahout is not able to control them. After this prologue, Iswaran would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. Prologue means introductory section of a speech. So like before starting a story, you tell a prologue, you give a background, right? So after this prologue, Ishwaran would launch into an elaborate, means very much explained, deeply explained anecdote involving an elephant. So he has begun telling a story of elephant. One day, a tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about, stamping. Stamping means crush or flatten with a heavy blow from one's foot. So if you have seen an elephant, you might be knowing that they just crush or they flatten heavy things which are on the which comes on their way with their foot. So one day a tusker escaped from the timber yard. Tusker is elephant, okay? So the elephant had escaped from the timber yard and he began to roam about. Roam about means just going here and there. So he stamped on bushes, tearing up wild creepers and breaking branches at will. So we know that he has started to destroy things. He was stamping on bushes, he was tearing up creepers and breaking branches at will. Will is his wish, the elephant's wish. So you can see that the elephant is causing destruction, isn't it? You know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad? Ishwaran would get so caught up in the excitement of his own story that he would get up from the floor and jump about, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. So when he was telling the story, he would ask Mahendra that, do you know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad? And the Ishwara would be so excited in his own story that he used to get up from the floor and start to jump and stamp his own feet, okay, in emulation of the, emulation is imitation, when you try to copy someone, okay. So here definitely Ishwaran was trying to copy the elephant and how he was stamping. So here I have written the meaning of emulation is the effort to match or surpass a person or achievement, typically by imitation. Okay, so like if you're trying to copy someone or you're making an effort to match what a person is doing. Okay, the elephant reached the outskirts of our town, breaking the fences down like matchsticks. So the elephant had now reached the outskirts of the town and he was breaking the fences as if they were just matchsticks to him. It was so easy to bring the fences down, like he was just doing with the matchsticks. He would continue. It came into the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits, mud pots and clothes. So the Ishwaran is now telling us that how the elephant was creating a destruction. It has come to the main road and he was smashing all the stalls which were selling fruits and mud pots and cloths. So all these things were being caused damage. As you can see in this picture, that how the elephant had gone mad. It has come to the main road and destroying everything which is coming on his way. People ran helter-skelter. In panic, the elephant now entered a school ground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. So when these things started to happen, when elephant had started to destroy things, people started to panic and they ran helter-skelter. Helter-skelter means here and there, in disorderly haste or confusion. Now elephant had entered a school now, okay, school ground. So obviously there was a school, so children were playing in the playground. Like when you go to school, you also play in your playground. So similarly, in that school, where elephant has entered, children were playing. And how did elephant enter the school? Breaking through the brick wall. So he broke the brick wall and then he entered the school. All the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tight. The beast grunted and wandered about, pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum kept for water, and uprooting the shrubs. So, as soon as the boys saw that elephant has entered into their ground, all of them ran into their classrooms and they shut their doors tight. The beast means the elephant, grunted. Okay, grunted is making a loud sound. And wandered means roamed about. And what are the destructions that he was doing? He was pulling out the football goalpost, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum which was there kept for water, and uprooting the shrubs. So all these things were done by the elephant. Okay. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the depredations of the elephant. So all the teachers, they also did not know what to do at the moment. So they climbed up to the terrace of the school building. And they helplessly means they wanted to help. They wanted to do something about the situation. But they were helpless. They did not know what to do at that moment. They just watched the depredations which were done by the elephant. Depredation means the attacks which are made to destroy something. There was not a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. So Iswaran is saying that not a single soul, okay, soul means a person, okay, not a single person could be seen on the ground below. The streets had become empty, as if the inhabitants, the people staying there, they have disappeared. So basically what happened? All of them were scared of the elephant. So they locked themselves into their houses. So you can see there's a picture which you can see that not a single person could be seen here. I was studying in the junior class at that time and was watching the whole drama from the rooftop. I don't know what came over me suddenly. I grabbed a cane from the hands of one of the teachers and ran down the stairs and into the open. So now Iswaran is saying that I was studying in the junior class. So Iswaran was in the junior class at that time. And he was, along with students, along with teachers, he was also watching the whole drama from the rooftop. Drama? Why drama? Because maybe he thought that elephant is just doing some kind of drama. Okay. I don't know what came over me suddenly. He's saying that I don't know what happened to me. Okay. What did he do? He just grabbed a cane from the hands of one of the teachers and he ran down the stairs into the open. So he went to the ground where the elephant was present. The elephant grunted and menacingly swung a branch of a tree which it held in its trunk. So the elephant grunted. Okay, he made a very loud sound. And menacingly means suggesting the presence of danger. Okay, what did he do? He swung a branch of a tree which it held in its trunk. So he was holding a branch of a tree which he swung angrily, showing that it's a sign of a danger. It stamped its feet, kicking up a lot of mud and dust. So the elephant's feet are very heavy. So when he stamped it on the floor or on the ground, a lot of mud and dust were around him. Okay. It looked frightening, but I moved slowly towards it, stick in hand. People were watching the scene hypnotized from nearby housetops. So Ishwaran is saying that the scene was really frightening. It was scary that how elephant is grunting and showing the sign of danger, stamping its feet on the ground. It was really frightening. But I did not got scared. I was I was moving slowly towards it. Still the stick in my hand. Remember the cane that he has taken from one of his teachers? So he was moving towards the elephant. He was daring enough to do that. People were watching the scene hypnotized. They were totally, with rapt attention. They were looking at this scene from nearby housetops. So the people, they have went up on their housetops to see what is being done by the elephant. The elephant looked at me red-eyed, ready to rush towards me. It lifted its trunk and trumpeted. So the elephant looked at me red-eyed. So elephant looked at whom? Iswaran, red-eyed. Red-eyed means when is your eyes red? Huh? When you are angry. Yes. So you have seen generally people who are angry, their eyes turn red. So the elephant was really angry and he was rushing towards Iswaran. It lifted its trunk and trumpeted. Trumpeted means he made a sound like elephants make. Okay. At that moment, I moved forward and, mustering all my force, whacked its third toenail on the quick. The beast looked stunned for a moment. Then it shivered from head to foot and collapsed. So he is saying that at that moment he moved forward, mustering all my force. Mustering means gathering all his force. He whacked. Whack means to hit noisily. Its third toenail, okay, on the quick, means without even spending a single minute. He just whacked his third toenail. The beast, the elephant, looked stunned, like he was confused at what's going on. He looked stunned for a moment and then shivered and then finally collapsed. So the Ishwaran is trying to say that how he was able to control the beast and finally made him collapse on the ground. So he was really proud of himself, Ishwaran, that I was in the junior class. So maybe he was in class, maybe in 4 or 5. Okay. But still he was able to control that giant beast and he made him collapse on the ground. At this point, Ishwaran would leave the story unfinished and get up mumbling, okay, I will be back after lighting the gas and warming up the dinner. So he did not finish the story here, okay. Rather, he just got up from his place and he said, okay, I'll be back in some time. I'll just light the gas. I'll warm the dinner. So students, we will study till here in this class and we will know how was Ishwaran able to bring down that huge beast. Okay, he was such a small kid and he was, when all other people were scared of the elephant, they went on the rooftop, but still he was not scared. He mustered all his courage and he confronted the elephant. So we'll know in the next class how did he do that, okay? And I hope all of you have found the story interesting. And before ending the class, we will discuss some of the question answers. First question is, what was the profession of Mahendra? How he would move about different places for his work. So I told you in the very beginning of the chapter that Mahendra was a junior supervisor in a firm that offered to hire supervisors at various types of construction sites. His job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. Mahendra had to keep moving from place to place. Coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. Okay? Next question. discuss about the adaptability of Mahendra at different places. Mahendra's needs were simple. He was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions. Whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. So I have told you in the beginning that he was a bachelor, his needs were very simple and he was very adjusting in nature. Okay. Third question. How was Iswaran an asset for Mahendra? What work would he do for Mahendra? So Iswaran was Mahendra's cook. He was very caring and hardworking. He went with his master to whichever place he was posted. And that too uncomplainingly, yes? Do you remember? Iswaran cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes and chatted away with his master at night. Okay. Next question. What does Iswaran do every day? So basically you have to tell about his daily routine. So do you remember? Yes. Iswaran would tidy up the shed, wash their clothes and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. By then it would be lunchtime. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book that he used to read was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. So basically this was his daily routine and more or less he did the same thing. Apart from making lunch and dinner for Mahendra, packing his breakfast. So these are the things that he did. What happened when the wild elephant entered the school playground? When the wild elephant entered the school playground, there was chaos, which means there was confusion. Okay, the boys ran into their classrooms and shut the doors. The elephant pulled out the football goal post, flattened the drum and uprooted the shrubs. So I told you, isn't it, that the elephant was causing destruction. So we will discuss the next part of the chapter in the next class. Okay, and we found out the trick by which Iswaran was able to bring down the beast. So students, I hope you have understood the chapter till here and you have enjoyed it. Okay, so we will meet in the next class. Till then, bye and take care.